Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, more than 15 persons are feared dead after two boats carrying market women capsized on an upstream village called Accra Town in the Bui area of the Bunahafo region. A statement from the Bui Power Authority says the water level has been rising steadily due to the recent rains. The Navy has begun a search and rescue effort in the area. We can go live now and speak to the Bui area and speak to Sherry Lawson Ademo. She's Corporate Affairs Director for the Bui Power Authority. Hello, Mom. Thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. We understand you're investigating this matter. What do we know right now?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. If you can hear me, I'm asking what we know so far.
Okay. Early this morning, we had an information that two boats had capsized on the Bui Reservoir. And so the Navy was immediately dispatched. The Navy had already been dispatched around the Bui area. So they were dispatched for rescue purposes.
Well, we know that 15 people are feared dead. Is that something that you can confirm?
Initially we were told that the boat was carrying about 15 people. But we are now having information that 25 people were saved because actually it was two boats. The first boat was coming towards the Jama area with the market women and developed a fault at a place near the village called Accra Town. Their outboard motor got fault, and because of the wind, they were having problems. So the second boat went to rescue them, and both of them capsized. We are now having information that 25 people have been saved, and 7 or 8 are feared missing. So the Navy is still on the reservoir trying to search for the missing people.
That's a very disturbing story. What are the possible causes for this? Do you know?
Hello?
I'm asking what are the possible causes for this? You did indicate in your statement that the water levels have been rising, but apart from that, I mean, have you confirmed that as the main reason for this?
Well, our reservoir level is now at 169.71. It's not too high because our maximum level should be 183. But I think the strong wind and the fault on their outboard motor caused that one.
I see. So right now, we just have to rely on the Navy and hope that they do find them.
Yes, we are still in touch with the Navy. The Navy is currently on the reservoir, and we are still waiting for their response and what they come up with.
What it means then is that there is no survivor to tell any story at this point. Everybody...
No, like I said, 25 people were saved.
Right.
Yes, 25 people were. You know, this agitate town is an illegal settlement along the banks of our reservoir. And they normally come towards the Jama area on Fridays for, to sell their fish and other things. Friday booms very well at the Jama area. So they were crossing the reservoir from the settlement behind along the reservoir at the other side when the incident happened. We got the information early this morning.
Okay. Well, we hope that they do find them, and hopefully they will be alive. We'll be keeping in touch with you for more on this story.
We are keeping our fingers crossed for that.
Very well. Thank you very much for your time. Sherry Lawson Ademo speaks for the Bui Power Authority, bringing us up to speed on that very sad incident. And hopefully, like I said, they will be found in one piece. Now, away from that, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is set to school new metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives on the new Local Government Act. This is to ensure their effectiveness in representing the central government in their respective localities. About 200 MMDCEs across the country have been confirmed to take part in that 5-day induction program beginning on Monday. Deputy Local Government Minister Osei Bonsu Amwa has been sharing details of this move by the ministry with my colleague Mamavi Owuswabwaji.
We expect that, of course, you're bringing adults to come and train them. By and large, we are aware that most of them, if not all of them, are trainable. That is number one. Two, we expect that the discussants, those who be responsible for the lectures, will come to a level that everybody, one, will appreciate what is being done, and for everybody to participate. The participation is very critical. If you don't achieve those things, some may come here to be like they came for just sightseeing and camaraderie and go back. But our challenge is to make sure that they maximize the 5 days that they spend here. It's cramped. That's the problem. If we had our own way, it would have been more than the 5 days. But of course, they are running the districts, and you can't keep them away for that long. But they come. This is the first time they all come together. You do the network, and then we put them through the skills. But we go back to the field. We are on schedule. We wish that all the 216 could assemble. As it is, it will be just around 200, and we are okay with that.
Savlugu has been quiet, but what's the updates?
There's nothing going on in Savlugu, except that the MC is going about her duties.
So she's been fully accepted now? Well,
in democracy, sometimes you don't even say that anybody has been fully accepted. Even the president of the nation didn't get 60%. But he's running the country, and every day people bring issues. There are those who have shown that from day one they don't want him as president, but he has been duly elected. It's the same way with Savlugu. She was nominated, the assembly accepted her. Some said that even if you have been endorsed, we will not allow you to start work. We thought that that was not democratic enough. At the end of the day, peace is reigning, and she's carrying out her duties. We expect her here on Sunday. Monday we start, and then we know that after 1 week, she'll be more equipped to run the municipality.
There have been talks about electing MMDCEs. Is the ministry working on that now, or you're waiting for more directives from the president?
We are working on it now. We've set up an internal committee looking at all the dynamics. All things being equal, we are hoping that at most by the last week of July, we'll go out. We'll go and do fora, stakeholders fora, across the country. There are two key issues regarding this matter. One, if the people of Ghana want the DCs or the chief executives to be elected in a partisan way, that means we should draw a program for a referendum, because the provision on the assemblies being non-partisan is entrenched. So if you want to amend that provision, the people of Ghana who should decide through a referendum, 40% at least of the electorate should vote, and 70% at least should say that, change it to make it partisan. The other aspect is that if the people of Ghana don't want it to be partisan, but we are insisting that there should be elections, then we'll go through the parliamentary process, and if the required number agree that DCs should be elected, but in a non-partisan way, then we do that. So we have timelines. We're hoping that if we still want to meet our deadline of September 2019, when the assemblies elections will be due, if we want to meet that deadline so that there will be 3 boxes, you need committees, assembly members, and chief executives. Then we have to work backwards to make sure that by September 2019, they take part in the elections.
Away from local governance, a group of businessmen affiliated to the governing NPP and calling itself the Patriotic Business Association of Ghana are agitated with what they say is inconsistent costs of importing items into the country under the Akufo-Addo administration, an administration that promised reductions in the cost of doing business. This call comes at a time when government is implementing some reforms at the port and announced scrapping of levies on importation. President of the association, Nana Ejenim Boateng, joins me in the studio for a very quick chat on this. Nana, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so government has clearly indicated, you are a businessman, you say, government has clearly indicated their willingness to scrap off some levies, but here you are complaining, really. What is it?
Thank you very much, and thanks to your listeners. We had what we called the Asumji budget or whatever it is. Asempa budget. And
you are a member of the NPP. This should be at your fingertips.
We are very happy with the budget anyway, if the figures were going to be followed to the letter. But there are so many inconsistencies at the port now, discrepancies on the duties that we are supposed to pay.
Okay, so let's take it one at a time. Take us through the inconsistencies that you refer to. What is it that you think amount to that inconsistency?
We were expecting the price reduction, which we can't see now.
In what? Reduction in what exactly?
In the import duties.
Okay. Nothing has changed at the ports? Is that what you're saying?
It's fluctuating. That is very strange now.
Okay.
Because let's assume in the past government, you were taking a container of fish for 20,000 cedis. Now you could go and pay 25,000 cedis for a container. The next day you go and it is 18,000 cedis.
Okay.
So there's confusion because we don't know as to how they are making their calculations.
Okay. So the issue is the fluctuations.
Yes.
That if you say you're reducing it, then we should see a consistent reduction. I mean, it should be consistent. If we come and it's 18,000, like you say, it should through and through be 18,000. But sometimes it's 18 and sometimes it goes up.
That is the problem.
As a businessman, I'm sure that you are in touch with the authorities at the Ghana ports. Have you spoken to them? Have you been engaging them on
Yes, we've gone to their offices. We've had a series of meetings with them. But then the inconsistency is still on. We don't know what is happening.
What do they tell you when you meet with them?
They have seen the problem. They've told us they've seen the problem, but then the changes are not coming. And every now and then, even yesterday we had people who were clearing containers from the ports and who were having problems with the figures that we're giving them. You have a company clearing goods from the port, from the same company outside, from Holland. One was paying about 18,000 cedis for a container. From the same company with the same contents to another company, the person was also paying about 26,000. So there is confusion.
Has this always been an issue that you've had to deal with at the ports? It's not entirely new, is it?
It is. It's becoming more strange, yes, because then you knew you were going to pay a certain amount. It only changed which was high, and it only changed during those days when the dollar kept rising. But now the dollar is a bit stable, so we expect the amount we are paying to be stable. But then we are confused.
Are you doing this because you feel a certain sense of entitlement, especially because you've described your group as a group that is affiliated to the governing party, and so you feel like you have a sense of entitlement, and so you're making noise, so to speak? Or I mean, otherwise there are people who are perhaps quiet and hoping that it will stabilize by itself.
We wouldn't want to sit down for the opposition to be correcting us on some of these issues. You know, we have opposition people who are also exporting from outside. And when these things are going on, definitely they want to make noise. But then we are like, when things are going wrong, we just make the correction at home. We love the party. We want things to move on smoothly. We want to create a very good atmosphere for business people in Ghana. You know, when MPP is in power, business is in motion.
I see. So that's what you say.
We want to make sure that everything is correct. It's not only the port where there are problems. We are identifying some of these problems, and every now and then, we wouldn't want the opposition to sleep and wake up and say, these are the problems we have. By the time they wake up, we have identified our problems.
So you talk about dealing with the problems at home. This right here, what you and I are doing right here, is not home. This is the media. This is to the world.
This is Ghana. This is Ghana. This is our home.
It is the world. You're addressing your issues, in the media. Why don't you take it to the party, in the house, so to speak?
This shows
have you done that?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
This shows how democratic MPP is. We wouldn't want to hide the problems. Some of these things, when they come up, we all see them. The opposition, people in the party all see these things. But then what do? They try to bury it. But we are not going to bury anything. We are going to say it, and we are going to correct it, and we are going to move forward.
Which is why you're doing that now. But don't you think the politicization of the entire issue makes it difficult for it to be addressed? Do you think that it is necessary for you to attach the fact that you are NPP people to it, rather than just say, look, we're businessmen and we're having issues, deal with it?
We are Patriotic Business Association. We are definitely from the NPP. Okay. But then it will surprise you that we have NDC people who have joined the party or who have joined our association and who are even pushing us to make corrections on some of these issues and who are happy because they know when NPP is in power, business is in the air. So they have joined us, and they are also making sure that these anomalies are corrected, and then they also enjoy whatever is coming.
In your opinion, as a businessman who has been doing this for, I believe, a very long time, what ought to be done?
I think there should be consistency. They should check.
How can they ensure the consistency that you're looking for?
That is the idea. The technical people, they are the port. They know what they have to do.
Okay.
But we are expecting them to correct this because we wouldn't want to sit down. And it's not only the port we are going to be hammering on. When things are wrong at other sectors, we are going to come out again. We are going to speak. And
to what end? What's the expectation? I mean, do you have a timeline? Are you like maybe giving government or your NPP people a timeline within which you the businessmen, expect that this issue be addressed?
We know as soon as possible. NPP is a listening party. Nanado is a very nice father who listens to the children. Okay. So we know we are speaking on air. We know he might be watching, or definitely you hear about this, and we know the necessary corrections will be made. Yeah.
So that gives you comfort that you put it in the media.
We are very comfortable when you are dealing with NPP.
All right. I say very big thanks to you for coming, and I hope that your issues will be addressed because, of course, business is at the heart of the economy, isn't it?
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much. Nana Ejenim Boateng.
Yes.
And you speak for the group. The name of the group again
Patriotic
is Business Association.
And our logo is the baby elephant.
All right. I hope that you get to have solutions to that problem. Well, away from business and the effect it has on the economy, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has lauded the efforts of faith-based organizations in the 2016 elections at the launch of a report on the role of the interfaith platform in the presidential and parliamentary elections. Chairperson of the EC, Charlotte Osei, highlighted that the involvement of religious bodies in the electoral process strengthens Ghana's democracy.
The report by the National Catholic Secretariat assessed interventions of faith-based organizations during the 2016 presidential and parliamentary election in the areas of peace and security. The Forum for Actions on Inclusion, Transparency and Harmony, with the acronym FAITH, included the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Federation of Muslim Women's Associations in Ghana, Christian Mothers Association, Office of the National Chief Imam, and others.
Prof. Chair, as part of our advocacy effort, it will be a disservice not to link our purpose to the need to build strong institutions for good governance. This is the explicit intention of the 16th goal of the Sustainable Development Goals. We have recommended in our reports that this must be an important consideration for the National Development Planning Commission as they craft our next National Development Plan, and must also include civil society's institutional development. As a country, we need to pay attention to efforts aimed at promoting social cohesion and behavioral change. This should not be done in an ad hoc manner, only responding to events and circumstances when threats to this become dire.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana, Charlotte Osei, said that the report will have a great impact on the country.
We cannot underplay the role of faith-based institutions. It's very important in our elections and to our national development. But I think even more important is the fact that they have come together under this platform. They have put together key reports on the elections, and today we are launching those reports. It's important because it allows us to document what has happened. It allows us to learn from maybe wherever we may have fallen short, and to start working on how we can improve it, and also to learn from the things we did well and see how we can sustain those. I have read the reports, of course, seeing that it's almost like a report card on my work. I don't agree with everything in the report, but I do agree with most of it.
Governance expert Professor Bafo Ajimandua, however, warned that technological vulnerabilities and donor-dependent funding are great threats to Ghana's electoral process.
The use of electronics to invade elections, to subvert the popular will of people in elections, is a real threat. So I'm asking the Electoral Commission to begin to be proactive, to think on measures that we need to begin to take to ensure that in our elections, the popular will of the people will not be subverted. The second point I made in my remarks related to the issue of funding. Donor support is drying, especially as Ghana becomes mature democratically. Donors are no longer disturbed by elections, so their support is dropping. Now, how do we continue to sustain our elections when the Electoral Commission continues to rely on donors for a greater chunk of its resources?
The interfaith platform for the 2016 elections was supported by Star Ghana.
Prominent leaders from the West African subcontinent and around the world are expected to join more than 500 Ghanaians living outside the country at the biggest gathering of Ghana's diaspora in Accra next week when the Ghana Diaspora Homecoming Summit 2017 takes off. The summit, expected to take place at the Accra International Conference Center, is a direct outcome of President Akufo-Addo's election campaign pledge to involve Ghanaians living abroad in the development of the country. In the studio with me is Jermaine Nkrumah, his vice chairman of the Ghana Diaspora Homecoming Summit Committee. You're welcome, sir.
Well, thank you.
I remember having a conversation about the homecoming not so long ago, but it does sound like it's a big deal to the NPP administration. So why not? Let's touch on it once again. It's almost, I mean, it is close. It's very just next week.
Very close. First of all, thanks for having me. I noticed that on your opening it says 500, which is actually the number that we anticipated getting. But as I speak right now, we've had 1,057 people registered from all over the world. 1,057. Right. And so the marketing has been great. They're coming. Their expectations are very lofty. And so it's up to this committee to deliver a very good summit for them. Yes.
One of the objectives of this is to attract investment, so to speak. Because
that's correct.
A lot of Ghanaians who are living outside who have the means to create job opportunities, etc. Tell us a bit about that. I mean, what are we to expect, the extent of investment perhaps that we should be expecting?
Massive.
Tell us about it.
I'll give you an idea. We have a diaspora poll on our website, and we ask a question. For those of you who are looking to resettle back home, what would you most likely do? And up to 74% of them want to start a business. Now, of course, starting a business is a scale of small scale all the way on up. And so, and from that same poll, only 4% actually want to obtain employment from a public sector. And so this summit is going to touch on a whole lot of issues such as ROPA, such as full citizenry, which currently the statute excludes some. And so we have reason to believe that some people think that, you know, with our expertise, we come in for a job. But the reality is only 4% of Ghanaians abroad who want to come home are the ones that are looking to work in the public sector. So 74% are willing to start a job when they come here. But, you know, there is something that we need to address here. You're born and raised in this country, but it seems like the moment you get on a plane to leave here, they check you out from this country. You know, that is one of the things that we're trying to stop. I mean, I don't mind coming in here, bringing my hard-earned money to invest in the country. I want to do it. But the principle of not feeling like you're excluded, sometimes you can only imagine how many people are being discouraged from coming here. And so this platform, this summit, is going to be a platform where we bring all these issues into fore and enter into some kind of dialogue with the government to make sure that currently, although we're bringing in about $3 billion annually in remittances alone, now when you add investment, it goes as high as $5 billion a year. Now, it can be more, but it depends on what type of extended arm that the country extends to us.
And that is exactly what you seek to achieve with this particular
This is going to be a platform for that.
Let me give you the final word on who, if you were to speak to the public about what to do. It's just Wednesday. I mean, this is like a, let me just call it, for my own purposes, a golden opportunity for you to say something to the people of Ghana. And of course, this broadcast goes beyond Ghana. It's on YouTube, it's on the internet. If you were to speak to Ghanaians everywhere, Ghanaians here at home, you'll find out where this will be, what will you tell them?
Very good. Thank you for the opportunity. First and foremost, Ghanaians abroad, Ghana is a new place now. The policy initiatives that this new administration is bringing is so business-centered that if you've ever wanted to invest in Ghana, this is the opportunity to come and do it. There are going to be a whole lot of new things facilitating such investment. Now, for the Ghanaian at home, I was fortunate enough to be part of the ROPA movement. I actually started the movement back in the States and everything. And when we came, we found out that Ghanaians seem to think that when you talk about diaspora issues, it's an us versus them proposition. It really is not. We're all Ghanaians. We want to build this country. It just so happened that we were fortunate enough to get the opportunity to go and look at other perspectives, study, acquire some other resources. Now, the burning desire is to bring it back home. And all we want to do is for the nation to welcome us back and facilitate things for us to come back home and help.
Okay, of course, money is something that we need a lot of here in this country. So, yeah, why not? It's all good. If we're going to get over 5 billion, more than that, hopefully.
It's quite a lot.
Thank you very much for passing through.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we wish you a very successful program. And we wish the country all the money that you've promised that we will be able to rake in.
It is out there.
Jermaine Nkrumah is Vice Chairman of the Ghana Diaspora Homecoming Summit Committee. And that program is coming off on Wednesday, next Wednesday, at the Accra International Conference Center. And we want to make a date for that. Well, away from that, let's talk about the just passed quiz, the science and maths quiz. Now, the missing handbag, of course, has been one of the issues that have sort of marred the beauty of this quiz. That bag belongs to the quiz mistress of the National Science and Maths quiz, Dr. Elsie. It's gone missing. We'll bring you more on that right after this.